Good morning, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Myself, Kuhu Sarkar, and today I am going to continue the series of Greco-Roman period. In my previous video, I had already told you about the historical background of Greco-Roman period and each and every period I had discussed, and I had already discussed the writers and writings. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the archaic period, the first period, which is archaic period. And then I'm going to talk about the writers and writings and the important writers, which is Homer, and his writings, which are Iliad and Odyssey. So let's start. The history of ancient Greek literature divided into three periods, and I hope you know these periods. Which are they? They are the Archaic period. Archaic period spans from 18th century BCE to 5th century BCE. You can also say to the end of 6th century BCE. BCE means before Common Era or before Christ. Then the classical period, which spans from 15th century BCE to 4th century BCE. Then the Hellenistic period and Greco-Roman period, which spans from 4th century BCE to 1st century BCE, and we can also say the 3rd century BCE. So I had already talked about the historical background of each and every period. So if you did not watch the video, please go and watch it. The Archaic period, which spans from 18th century BC to 5th century BC. So I try to I try to repeat this time period so that you can remember it. The Archaic period marked the early development of ancient Greek civilization. City states like Athens, Sparta emerged as important political entities. These city states, such as Athens, Sparta, Corinth, and Thebes, become the dominant political entities. The Greeks established colonies around the Mediterranean, spreading their culture and ideas. So, I had already told you that the Greece was the archipelago, mean group of islands, and the cities are a group of islands, and there are cities, and which are the Athens, Sparta, Corinth, and Thebes. Athens was the powerful, and I also talked about the Peloponnesian War, which fought between Athens and Sparta won the war. Here are some of the prominent writers from the Archaic period and their notable works. So let's see it. First is there Homer. Homer's works are Iliad and Odyssey. Homer is one of the most celebrated and influential poets of ancient Greece. He is traditionally attributed with composing two epic poems, the Iliad and Odyssey. The Iliad tells the story of Trojan War, focusing on the rage of Greek hero Achilles, and Odyssey narrates the adventures of the Greek hero Odysseus as he tries to return home after the war. So these two stories based on Trojan War. So you have to know about the story of Trojan War to understand these works. Then came Hesiod. Hesiod's works are Theogony and Works and Days. Hesiod was another ancient Greek poet who lived during the Archaic period. Theogony provides a genealogy and mythology of the Greek gods, while Works and Days offers practical advice, moral teachings. Hesiod's writing provide valuable insights into early Greek religious belief and daily life. So you only have to remember the great poet's name and their writings. So Hesiod's writings are Theogony and Works and Days. Then Archilochus. Archilochus, here I took an important quote. We don't rise to the level of our expectations. We fall to the level of our training. So his works are fragments of his poetry and Archilochus was a lyric poet known for his innovative use of meter and language. He is considered one of the earliest lyric poets in ancient Greece. Archilochus's verses often dealt with the themes of love, war, and personal emotions. His poetry was characterized by more personal and introspective tone compared to the epic tradition of Homer. Then see the next writer, which is Sappho. Sappho's works also fragments of her lyric poetry. Sappho was an exceptional female poet from the island of Lesbos. Regrettably, much of her works has been lost over time, so there are not any work or much of work, but she is renowned for her lyric poetry, particularly her poems expressing love and desire. Sappho's poetry explored themes of passion and emotion, and her style greatly influenced later Greek and Roman poets. So, I had already told you that the word lesbian came from the word Lesbos because he was living in Lesbos, because he was writing about same gendered love and desire between women, so the word lesbos came from the word lesbos. So this is interesting. Then Solon's work are also not there. Legal political reforms, fragments of poetry. Solon of Athens was a statesman, lawmaker, and poet. He is known for introducing significant legal reforms in Athens, including debt relief of the poor and recognition of the political system. Though few fragments of his poetry survive, his work reflects his concerns for justice and political stability. Homer was an ancient Greek poet who lived a long time ago. Sorry, it is about Homer. So, political stability, Solon, legal and political reforms, and fragments of poetry are there, and he was a statesman, lawmaker, and also a poet. Then we came to Homer. So Homer was an ancient Greek poet who lived long time ago. He is famous for creating two incredible stories called Iliad and Odyssey. Here is Iliad. The Iliad is an epic tale about a big war called the Trojan War. It tells the story of brave warriors from Greece and the city called Troy. One of the heroes in the Iliad is Achilles, who is super strong and brave. The poem is full of exciting battles and adventures, and it also shows the gods and goddess getting involved in the war. So you have to know the story of Trojan War. So what happened in Trojan War? Why the Trojan War happened? Because the prince of Troy went to Greece, and he went to Greece as a guest, and he was accepted as a guest, and he was very much um, he was very much accepted by the king Minos. And what happened when Paris went to Greece? He was just fall in love with Helen, the queen of Greece. Minos was the king, and Helen was the queen. So, and Minos' brother Agamemnon also was living in another state. And when what happened when Minos was not there, because Minos' brother was died, and he had to go for the funeral. And when Minos went to the for his father funeral. Paris just eloped with Helen, because Helen also fall in love with him, and they eloped to Troy. And when Minos came and he saw that yes, what happened, just the prince of Troy, which is Paris, he just eloped with my queen. He got anger, and he and Agamemnon then decided that we are going to take revenge, and the war begins. The war spans for 10 years. And here Achilles was a warrior, a great warrior from Greece. And what he did, I will tell you later. There also the story of Odyssey. Odyssey was also a brave warrior from the state Greece, and he is from Greece. Okay, he is from Greek. The Odyssey is another epic poem, and it's about Greek hero named Odysseus, and his name also Ulysses. After the Trojan War, he goes on a journey back to home to the king of Ithaca. On the way, he faces many challenges like meeting monsters and sorceresses. The Odyssey is a thrilling adventure story with lots of twists and turns. So, Odyssey's story starts when the Trojan War ends. He want to return home, and the he want to return home, and it took 10 years. The adventure of his returning home was the story of the Odyssey. Homer's storytelling was so amazing that people loved his poems. They were told and retold, passing down from generation to generation. Even today, people still read and study Homer's work because they are so important to our understanding of ancient Greek culture and mythology. We may not know much about Homer himself, but his stories have left a lasting legacy and continue to inspire people around the world with their heroism, bravery, and incredible adventures. So let's know about the story of Iliad. Here is Iliad. The Iliad is an ancient Greek epic poem written by a famous poet named Homer. It tells the exciting story of a big war named Trojan War. The war is between Greek and Trojan who lived in the city called Troy. So here we see in the picture Achilles, and the other one is Agamemnon. Here what happened when they went to Troy, and they are just going to fight, and they are doing fight. They um, fought for Helen, but what happened, they took some wealth from Troy. They defeated some areas of Troy, and they took some wealth, some female from there, someone are priest daughter, someone they took as pride because they defeated some of areas of Troy, and they just collect the wealth, the money, anything, everything, and they just took the priest daughters female as their prize. And Achilles also got a prize. You cannot say prize, but here is mentioned about as a prize. So he took a prize of a priest daughter whose name is Princess, and he made her as her girlfriend. um, she becomes she becomes her girlfriend. But Agamemnon was so luxurious, and what he did, he just took the prize, you can say the female Briseis. He took her, and then Achilles got anger, and he said that I'm not going to war. He just quit the war. He said, I'm not going to do fight for you because my prize, my beloved, you took my beloved, so I'm not going to do fight for you, and I'm just quitting. So, at the heart of the Iliad is the Greek hero Achilles, who is very strong and brave. But there is a problem when the leader of the Greek army, who is Agamemnon, takes away Achilles' special prize from war, a girl named Briseis. So, Briseis, a girl named Briseis, she was girlfriend, you can say girlfriend or beloved, what you want to name her. So, she was taken He was taken away by Agamemnon. This makes Achilles very angry, and he decides to stop fighting and stay away from the battle. He said, "I'm not going to do war for you." And Achilles was a brave warrior, and his body was made by iron. So if he quit for war, Agamemnon know that they cannot own the war. So he also tricked something, and then the story is about Iliad. So what happened, the Trojans starts to do better in the war because Achilles not doing war, and it looks like they might win. The Greek army suffers very heavy losses without Achilles fighting. In the meantime, other brave warriors from both sides have their own exciting battles. The gods and goddesses of ancient Greece also get involved in the war. They take sides and helps their favorite heroes, and even play a trick on each other. So here we also see that gods and goddesses, they helped and support the, you can say, the team which they tried want to win the war, and they supported, and sometimes they making tricks and everything they are doing. The last scene, what happened when Achilles said that I'm not going to fight. He's one of his other friend, uh, Dreamius. Maybe his name is Dreamius. So he's you can say that Achilles was a gay or homosexual. You can say homosexual because he is loving both a man and women. So Dreamius, his most beloved friend, he said that you are not going to war, so I want to go and fight. And he said Achilles first tried to stop him, but he said no, I want to be brave, and I want to go war. And he said that I'm going to wear your clothes. Achilles said, okay, you can go, but you can wear my clothes. And when he went to the went to the battlefield, Hector, the prince of Troy, the elder brother of Paris, he saw that it was Achilles, and he tried to kill him. When he killed him, it was not Achilles, it was Dreamius. And when Achilles got to know about the news that his friend, his best friend or love, Dreamius, was murdered by Hector, it made him anger, and he said, I'm going to kill Hector. How can he just kill my best friend? And then he started war, and he started to do fight, and he just went and killed Hector. And he killed Hector brutally. Um, he killed him brutally. He just bind his leg with the horse, and drag his body. And he said that I'm not going to, after the death of Hector, he said I'm not going to give the body uh, to Troy. And then the scene happens, you see. The Iliad is a thrilling story of heroism, honor, and the power of the gods. It teaches us about the courage and emotions of the warriors, and how wars can have many consequences. The poem ends with the funeral of a Trojan prince named Hector. So that after the death of Hector, the after the funeral of Hector, the story ends. What happened? He said that I'm not going to give the Hector's body, and then the king of the Troy, Priam came to him, and he said that please give me my son's body. He said that you had already killed him, but please give me my son's body, because we have to give him a good funeral. He is lying on the field, or on your field, and he is just his body is rotten like an animal. So please give his body so that we can give him a good funeral so that his soul go to heaven. And it is just an emotional scene. And when he said that, please, you had already killed him, but please give me my son's body. And Achilles got emotional, and he said, okay, I will give you the Hector's body, and took some um, wealth or money also. So here the scene when Achilles except that he will give the body, and the funeral happened, and it is the end of the story Iliad. The poem ends with the funeral of Trojan prince named Hector, and the war continues even the story ends. So it is the small story. The Iliad is a timeless classic that has been loved and retold thousands of years. It gives us a glimpse into the world of ancient Greece and heroic deeds of its warriors. Then I took some name which English literature based on Iliad. So in the examinator set, you have this type of question that these English literature based on Iliad or influenced by the work Iliad. So have to note down the names. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Then Ransom by David Malouf. Ransom by David Malouf. Achilles by Elizabeth Cook. Achilles by Elizabeth Cook. The Iliad, a new translation by Caroline Alexander. The Iliad, a new translation by Caroline Alexander. The Silence of the Girls by Pat Brecker. The Silence of the Girls. Maybe it is about the female of or the women of Troy. Then we come to the Odyssey. The Odyssey, you can also say the Ulysses. The Odyssey story, let's discuss. Once upon a time in ancient Greece, there was a brave and clever hero named Odysseus. He was the king of Ithaca and had fought in the famous Trojan War. After the war ended, Odysseus wanted to return home to kingdom and his loving wife Penelope and his son Telemachus. So, after the end of the war, he tried to return home. This story begins with the end of the Trojan War. But his journey back to Ithaca was not easy. Odysseus faced many challenges and adventures along the way, and his journey took him to strange lands and encountered mythical creatures. So it is an interesting story because the journey of Odyssey, you can see the many strange thing happens with him, many monsters, many mythical creatures he encountered. One of his first obstacles was a powerful and enchanting sorceress named Circe. She turned some of his men into pigs. What she did? She turned some of his men into pigs, but with his wit and help from the god of Hermes, Odysseus managed to oversmart her and rescue his crew. So what she did? She transformed some of Odysseus' men into pigs, and after that, God Hermes helped him, and he managed to rescue his crew. Then, next in his next adventure, he had to face the terrifying sea monster Scylla and Charybdis. Scylla, or you can say Skyla, had many heads and would snatch sailors from passing ships. When the ships was passing, he just snatched the sailors from the ships. Charybdis was a giant whirlpool that could sink entire boat, and the sink the entire boat. Odysseus navigated through his dangerous passage with courage and skill, and he lost some of his men in the process. So what happened? Odysseus navigated through the dangerous passage, but he lost some of his men in the process. And here, when Odysseus was not home, Penelope was mourning for him, waiting for him. She was his wife, and she was waiting for him. Odysseus also visited the beautiful and mysterious island of the goddess Calypso, who fell in love with him. Though she stayed her for some time, he never forgot his beloved Ithaca and Penelope and kept trying to find a way to home. So next, in his next adventure, Odysseus was visited a beautiful and mysterious island of the goddess of Calypso, who fell in love with him, but Odysseus was determined that he had to return home. And here, meanwhile, back to Ithaca, Penelope was surrounded by many suitors who wanted to marry her. So, when Odysseus was not home, there are many suitors who tried to seduce Penelope, and they proposed, say, Penelope that do marry me so that they can become the king. But Penelope there made a trick. What she did, she said that okay, I am going to marry you, but after the finishing of my wedding gown. So every day she was knitting the wedding gown, and every night she was unknitted the gown and the bridal gown. And in that process the gown was never complete, and she made the trick, and she try to avoid the marriage. She was successful to avoid the marriage, but she remained loyal to Odysseus and hoping he would return. So she was waiting for him, and she remained loyal to Odysseus. Here is her son Telemachus, and here is the Penelope. Finally, after many years of wandering and facing challenges, Odysseus arrived in Ithaca, disguised as a beggar. One of his servants and one of his dog uh, recognized him. He secretly reunited with his son Telemachus and devised a plan to reclaim his kingdom and deal with the suitors. So he then reunited with his son, and and devised that I'm going to defeat all the suitors. With the help of Telemachus and some loyal friends, Odysseus revealed his true identity and took on the suitors in great battle. So what happened? There was a contest, and Penelope said maybe there was a contest, and Penelope said that gave them a work that whoever did the work can marry me, and she know that only Odyssey can do this work, and Odyssey do this work maybe breaking a sword or something. So then Odyssey married his wife, and after that he just defeated all the suitors and made a great battle, and he proved his strength and bravery and defeating the suitors and remaining his kingdom, reclaiming his kingdom. So he reclaimed his kingdom and his loving wife Penelope. So they reunited, and it is the end of the story, a happy ending. So here I took the picture from shampoo. First, there are suitors. With Odyssey away, the men are chasing Penelope. Then, Lotus Eater scene. Odysseus' men get drugged by eating Lotus Eater. Tennyson also wrote about the theme Lotus Eater, and he also wrote Ulysses. Then, Cyclops, Odysseus, he has one eye on his forehead. Odysseus blinds Polyphemus, the Cyclops, son of Poseidon. Then Circe, Odysseus meets Circe, who turns the crew into pig. Then underworld, Odysseus goes to the underworld for directions home and meet his dead friends. So in underworld, Odysseus goes to the underworld for directions home and meets his dead friends, all of the friends who died in the Trojan War. Then sirens, it is a beautiful story. Sirens, what happened? Odysseus survives the sirens song by trying himself to mast of his board. So there was a theme, there was a adventure when uh, some beautiful nymphs or someone they are doing side their sirens, and their music is so mesmerizing that anyone who hears these sirens or music, they just go into them. And but Odyssey said that I want to hear the song or music, and all his other sailors, his friends, they said that you can't because you can die then. But he said, do one thing, just bind me with the boat, and I want to hear the music. And other members, they just put cotton or anything on their ears. So you can see the story in animation form. Skyla and Charybdis, more crew members are killed by the monsters Skyla and Charybdis. Then Helios, the crew eats the cattle of Helios and is punished with the storm that kills them all. Calypso, Calypso's prison, Odysseus survives the storm and ends up Calypso's sex slave for 7 years. He escapes and is shipwrecked with the Piakirans. Then disguised when he back to home. Back home, Odysseus disguised himself as a beggar to see who still on his side. He wins back Penelope and kills a bunch of suitors. So this is the end of the story. The story Odysseus' long journey back to Ithaca, known as Odyssey, is a tale of adventure, perseverance, the power of love and loyalty. It teaches us about the courage of a hero and the importance of staying true to one's home and family. The Odyssey remains one of the greatest epic poems in history, inspiring readers with its exciting adventures and timeless themes. So, it is a beautiful story. You can watch both Iliad and Odyssey in animated version or in real version. There are many films. You can watch it on YouTube also. So English literature based on or influenced by Odyssey. There the names are important. Please make note. Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson. The Lotus Eaters also. The Penelope by Margaret Atwood. Circe by Madeline Miller, Ulysses by James Joyce. Circe by Madeline Miller, Ulysses by James Joyce. Here he retell the story, and here Penelope, where Odysseus, where Penelope was loyal to him, but here the heroine was not at all loyal for her husband, and she did sex, and when her husband was not there in home. So Ulysses by James Joyce, famous story, famous one. The Adventures of Tom Bombadil by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Adventures of Tom Bombadil by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Odyssey translated by Robert Fackles and other translators. The Odyssey in Modern Prose by Samuel Butler. The Odyssey in Modern Prose by Samuel Butler. The Worth of Achilles, the Iliad of Homer by Elizabeth Cook. The Worth of Achilles, the Iliad of Homer by Elizabeth Cook. So that's all. So if you like my storytelling method and my method of uh, telling the history and the background and the writers and the writings, so please support me by like, comment and share. And please, if you did not subscribe my channel, please subscribe. So thank you for giving your time. Thank you very much.